Hello everybody, Travis here for Tpull's Corner, and we're doing Travis Plays the Premades, which means we're playing with one of the 10 Premade decks that Wizards of the Coast gave us, and this one is Treasure Hunt. So for this video, all we're going to do is introduce the cards in the deck if you're not familiar with them, and then each day of the week we will play a match or two and show you how they perform, how the whole deck performs. So this is, as its name implies, Treasure Hunt. It's built around the idea of leveraging the ability to generate treasure and use treasure. So we start with 3 Shambling Ghast, and when it dies, you can take a target creature an opponent controls and give it -1/-1, or you can create a treasure token. If there's no valid target for the creature part, it'll automatically only give you the create a treasure token option. Unwilling Ingredient, it's 1/1 with menace. You can exile it from your graveyard, draw a card, and lose 1 life. So this is a big theme of the deck as well, a card draw. Deadly Dispute, 2 copies of it. You can sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure token. So if you've got a treasure token from, say, Shambling Ghast, you can actually sacrifice that treasure, draw 2 cards, and still end up with a treasure by the time you're done. If you want a use for the treasure, when a hired Hexblade enters the battlefield, if you use a treasure to cast it, you can draw a card and lose 1 life. So there's another card draw. You got 3 of those. We got Thieves' Tools. When they enter the battlefield, you create a treasure token. It can't be blocked as long as its power is 3 or less. So we start out there with the 2s, right? The Shambling Ghast are 1. The Unwilling Ingredients are 1. Lots of things. Okay, Removal, Dragon's Fire. This is an instant. It deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you've got something like a Goldspan Dragon in your hand, you can reveal it, and it'll do 4 damage instead of 3. It'll do the power of whatever dragon card you choose to reveal. Let's see. Sudden Breakthrough. Instant. Strixhaven card. Target creature gets +2 and gains first strike until end of turn. Now keep in mind that you can do something like put a Thieves' Tools on a hired Hexblade, start them off as a 2/2, and then make them a 4/2 and do extra damage if you feel like. Usually you try and save this for creature battles to unexpectedly kill a creature and save your own. 3 Kalain, Reclusive Painter. These are legendary, so you can only have 1 of them out at a time. When he enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Other creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each mana from a treasure cast spent to cast them. So if you've got 3 regular mana and 2 treasures, and Kalain's out on the field, and you use those 5 to cast Goldspan Dragon, Dragon's going to come out as a 6/6 instead of a 4/4. So Kalain is deceptively powerful, potentially. Skullport Merchant kind of combines with this whole Shambling Ghast, Deadly Dispute, Skullport Merchant kind of setup. When they enter the battlefield, create a treasure token. You can sacrifice another creature or treasure and draw a card as long as you got the mana to do so. 1 copy of Soul Shatter. This is an excellent card. Opponent sacrifices creature planeswalker with the highest mana value, so you get rid of what's usually the biggest threat right away. Instant speed. We have Zorn, an elemental. If you create 1 or more treasure tokens, instead create these tokens plus an additional treasure token. So actually, if you can help it, you would love to have this guy out on turn 3 and then get all the other stuff out later, right? To double everything up. 2 copies of Magic Missile. This spell can't be countered. It's awesome. Deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. So, if they've only got a couple of 1/1s out, you can take the 3rd point of damage and hit their face. Grim Bounty, more removal, destroy target creature or planeswalker, and this creates a treasure token. You see a lot of what we have is adventures in Forgotten Realms because they're so heavy in the treasure theme. Here we go. Whenever Hoarding Ogre attacks, roll a d20, and you can create 1, 2, or 3 treasure tokens. Jaded Sellsword, a Dragon Warrior. When he enters the battlefield, if you use treasure to cast it, gains first strike and haste until end of the turn. One of the more deadly ones in the whole deck, big threat, Immerstorm Predator, Vampire Dragon. Whenever he becomes tapped, you exile a target card from a graveyard. Doesn't have to be your graveyard, doesn't have to be the opponent's graveyard, it's your choice. But you put a 1/1 counter on Immerstorm Predator, and at any time you can sacrifice another creature and he gains indestructible. So if you don't have an exile card and all you've got is destruction cards for removal, this can be a pain to try and get rid of. And if they have enough mana, then here's another one that can really give you trouble. Orcus Prince of Undeath. Legendary Demon. He's a 5/3 with flying and trample. Okay, but he's got X in his casting cost. So you need 4 just to bring him down, just as a 5/3 flyer, right? But if you got extra, the other creature, every other creature on the board, yours included, get -X until end of turn, and you lose X life. Or you can return up to X creature cards with total mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn. So you notice almost everybody else is less than him, right? So if you've got enough mana later on in the game and you've lost half a dozen creatures, you can bring them all back with enough mana here. Or if you're facing a little army of small creatures, you can just maybe cast this for 7, and do a -3/-3 to everybody. Right? You lose the demon too, right? But maybe clear the board. Another big threat, Westgate Regent. Flying Vampire for 4/4. The ward spell, the ward cost is that your opponent has to discard a card. Whenever Regent deals combat damage to a player, put that many counters on it. So, assuming that he stays at 4/4, if he hits you once, he becomes an 8/8, and then he hits you for 8 points the next turn, becomes a 16/16, and so on and so forth. If you don't have a massive life gain thing, you're gonna die pretty quick. If you want to remove him, you need to have an extra card in your hand so you can play the removal spell. If you only play the removal spell and that's the only card you had in your hand, it's going to fizzle against him because you have to still pay the cost. You have to discard a second card and then play your removal spell on him. Now, keep in mind, if Kalane's out and he's summoned using, say, 2 treasures, he'll come out as a 6/6 and then become a 12/12. So in this particular deck, he can also be even more of a threat than usual. Do we need to say anything about Goldspan Dragon? A 4/4 flyer haste, and he can create a treasure token, and it's good for 2 mana instead of 1. And finally, Red Dragon, 4/4 flyer with Fire Breath. Whenever he enters the battlefield, deals 4 damage to each opponent. And the rest is the lands. We're going to play a match or 2 a day after this. You guys will have to give me feedback. Most of what I've been doing up to this point, before I did this series of Travis Plays the Premades, was picking one deck, like creating an original deck, playing 3 or 4 matches. The videos are maybe an hour long, up to that. And these are just, 5, 10, 15 minutes a piece each day that I do them, but there's, something for you to see every single day. I'll rely on your feedback. Go ahead and put it in the comments. Let me know if you like this kind of format where there's something for you every day to check out, but it's not so long. Or, maybe there'll only be 2 or 3 videos a week, but they're much longer content, all spliced and edited together. In either case, I want you to like and subscribe, follow me, share the videos with a friend, all that good kind of stuff. Come back tomorrow and see this for the first of the Battles with Treasure Hunt. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.